Hi everyone, I'm Paige, and in this session today we're going to look at student life. So we're going to have a look at kind of whether there is a typical student day, sort of extra activities that you can get involved with while studying at university. And then in the second half of the session, we've got a couple of student ambassadors that are current students at the university, so you'll be able to ask them any questions you might have. So just firstly, I'm just going to introduce myself. So I'm Paige, I'm an outreach graduate intern at the University of Sheffield. I've recently just graduated myself and studied geography. I was also part of the Geography Society as the Academic and Careers Officer, and I did some part-time work as an ambassador and mentor. And I'll just let Harriet introduce herself as well.
Hi everyone, I'm Harriet. I also graduated from the University of Sheffield this year and studied environmental science, and I was a student ambassador whilst I was a student. I was also a member of the judo club for just under a year, and as part of the Give It a Go programme, which I think Paige is going to touch on later, I did rugby and swimming.
Brilliant, thank you. So in this session, like I said briefly, we're going to have a look at whether there is a typical student day, the extracurricular opportunities available, so things such as volunteering, societies and part-time work. We're going to have a quick look at different examples of a day in the life of a student, so students studying different subjects to see how their timetable might look. And then we've got the Q&A with current students. Hopefully this session will be a chance for you to learn something you didn't already know. So is there a typical student day? So teaching at university is completely different to what you might have already experienced at school or college. So you are likely to have less timetabled hours. So at school, you probably had like 5 hours a day where you had kind of 5 different lessons. At university, this will be a mixture of kind of where you're in uni, or you might have independent study time. So free time that you can either go to the library or you could choose to do something else instead. So the main way that you probably will be taught at university is through a lecture. So as you can see in this photo here, it's kind of a big room where all students will go, and they'll have one lecturer at the front of the room. They'll probably talk you through a particular subject. They might ask you questions, but normally they kind of just talk you through certain things. Then you might have a seminar. So this is something that you might have after that initial lecture. You'll kind of have a smaller group of people. You might be given a reading or something to do in preparation of that seminar. And then a tutorial, which might be even smaller again, and focusing on a particular element or specific section of what you've already covered. So then you could also have lab or studio work. So this is kind of particular to certain subjects, things like science and medicines, where they will probably have lab practicals throughout their timetable. There's also field work. So kind of this is fieldwork opportunities either in the UK or across the world. So I've been to Morocco with my degree, and I think Harriet went to the Galapagos. So kind of that's a fun way to apply what you've learned in the real world. So there's also skills classes. So for certain assessments or things that you need to learn in order to do that practical work. And then group work. So you might be assigned a group of other students on that course to do a presentation or a project together. So as you can see, it's completely varied and possibly different to what you've already experienced at school. So we're going to talk through the extracurricular opportunities available at university. So we mentioned a couple of these, but there's volunteering and charity work, different sports clubs, societies that you can get involved with, and part-time work. So we're going to talk through these in a little bit more detail. So volunteering and charity. So more than 2,000 students at the university dedicate their time to causes and organisations in the city, and have worked on a range of projects from assisting mental health charities to preparing and serving meals to the homeless. So I know at the University of Sheffield, there's a volunteering office where you can go and find out kind of what volunteering opportunities are available. And in societies as well, they normally organise their own volunteering and charity events as well. So there's plenty to get involved with. So clubs and societies, these are a big part of student life at university. And as you can see, there's quite a variety of things that you can get involved with. I think at the University of Sheffield, there's over 370 different societies. So there's a lot to choose from. And I know that each university will have kind of a similar amount as well. So what are clubs and societies? So they're a great way to meet people with similar interests to you and to obviously get involved with something and meet new people. There's all different sizes of societies and they organise and run a range of events and activities for you to take part in. So it gives you the opportunity to continue with a hobby that you already have or to try something completely new. And it's run by a committee of students. Each society will kind of elect the students that they'd like to run that society, and they can have like a range of roles. So things like tour, they might organise trips abroad, different volunteering and charity events, like I already mentioned, and kind of fun things to get involved with. And then you can get involved with as much or as little as you like. So even if you were to join a society, there'd be no expectation for you to go to everything that they organise. It'd just be a way of you to kind of meet new people and continue with something that you're already interested in. So what are the benefits of joining a society? So for me personally, I think personal enjoyment, mental and physical well-being, it's really important to have something different to your studies, to kind of do something different and relax and unwind as well. So you can continue with a current hobby, try something new, meet people with similar interests, meet new people and make new friends. You can join in as much or as little as you like. It's run by students, so you have the opportunity to kind of get involved with like it yourself, or kind of have input if you think the society should do something different, or try a new event. Also offers support with academic work. So when I was part of the Geography Society, we ran weekly sessions, either supporting you with kind of like academic work, or we had people in to talk through different subjects, then participate in volunteering or fundraising, and also trips abroad. So I think, again, with the Geography Society, I went to places like Lisbon, just so it's just really fun to have a weekend away. So we're just going to do a quick activity. So we're going to look at some societies, and I'd like you to pop in the chat whether you think they're real or fake at the University of Sheffield. So if you just pop an R in the chat if you think it's real, and an F in the chat if you think it's fake. And I think we've got Harriet watching over the chat, so she'll be able to feed back to me with what you guys put. So I'll just give you a few seconds for each one, but the first one we've got is the Allotment Society.
We've got an R come through.
An R, so real.
Another R.
Yeah, so that society is in fact real. So we've also got the Gluten-Free Society. So just pop a R and an F if you think this is real or fake.
Another R. Another R.
Okay, so real. Yeah, that is also real. So we've also got the Bubble Tea Society.
F.
Okay.
And an R.
F and an R. Okay, so this one is actually fake. So there isn't a Bubble Tea Society at the University of Sheffield. I know that there is a bubble tea stand where you can go and buy it though. Tea Society.
Another R.
Yeah, so that one is also real. As you can see, each society has their own little logos and things as well that they've created. So Quidditch Society. Do you think this one is real or fake?
We've got a real. And another real.
Okay, yeah, so that one is real. I thought that might trip you up, but no, that is a real society. So Beekeeping Society.
Yep, real.
Yeah, so that one is also real. I know that with the Beekeeping Society, that's one of my friends was involved with that, and she always had some great stories to tell for that one. The Baking Society.
Another real.
Yeah, so that one is also real. And then finally, we have the Roller Disco Society.
Oh.
Okay, so this one is actually fake. So there isn't a roller disco society at the University of Sheffield. It's a bit of a trick question because both the Bubble Tea Society and the Roller Disco Society are societies that are at other universities. So the Bubble Tea Society is at the University of Manchester, and the Roller Disco Society is a society at the University of York. So what's good to kind of point out here is that although there are lots of different societies to get involved with, the university that you choose to go to might not have a society for everything, but you can actually create your own if you wanted to set up a society for something that you're interested in, or get a few people together to start one, then you can apply to set up your own society. So, like I said, even if there isn't something there that already, you can set it up and get involved with that, which is really fun. So part-time work, as I mentioned, both Harriet and I were student ambassadors while we were at university. So many students do choose to work alongside their studies, particularly if their timetable is quite varied. There's probably kind of a few hours here and there that you could pick up some work. So there's lots of opportunities to work for the university. So as I mentioned, as a student ambassador or in kind of cafes, bars and shops. Working at the university is kind of really flexible because they understand that you're a student. So a lot of the time with kind of student ambassador work, you can just sort of say when you're free to work rather than kind of committing to a certain amount of hours each week. However, if you did want to do something that wasn't at the university, then at Sheffield there is a job shop. So they normally have like vacancies in the window for different shops across the city, or kind of cafes and restaurants. So you could find a job there if you wanted to. So how to balance extracurricular activities alongside your studies. This is really important because although it's fun to get involved with other stuff, you do need to remember that kind of your studies are important as well. So talking to your personal tutor or department. So each student will be assigned a personal tutor when you go to university. So this is someone that you probably meet a couple of times in the year and you can go to with any academic help or kind of any personal help. Talk to your personal tutor. So if you were struggling with kind of deadlines or anything like that, then you need to kind of let your personal tutor or department know because they can't support you if they don't know that you've got a lot going on. So it's important to get involved with something that you enjoy, and maybe something that helps you to relax and unwind. If you've got kind of a busy schedule and things, it's important to make sure that kind of whatever you do get involved with isn't kind of draining on your kind of work. So you can get involved in as much or as little as you like. So the Give It a Go events, for example, that Harriet mentioned earlier, these are kind of free activities that you can get involved with. So for example, I think Harriet said she did swimming or rugby. You could go one-off just to one session just to kind of see what it's like. And like I said, these are free, so it's a great way to try something new. The social sport as well, if you didn't want to get involved with kind of competitive sport, you could get involved with a few friends and just play it just for fun of an evening. So I think this is similar across different universities, but all kind of students' timetables, the Wednesday afternoons are kept free for kind of sports fixtures and matches and things like that. So that's a great way that kind of the university understands that kind of the extracurricular things that you do are important as well. So as I mentioned earlier, many jobs with the university are flexible. And there's also many other support services available at university. So we have a session tomorrow on support services at university with HEPFest. So we'll link that at the end of the session as well, if that was something that you were interested in. So we're just going to go through a day in the life of a student. So as we've mentioned, a student's likely to have social life and free time. They might take part in part-time work, and they'll also have their lectures and independent study as well. So this is an example of a day in the life of a law student. So as you can see here, they'll have kind of a couple of lectures throughout the day, a seminar in the morning. So you can see that they've got free time. So kind of they might go into town, they might do some independent study in the library, or they might meet their friends for lunch. And then they've got give it a go at netball in the evening. This is an example of an arts and humanities student. So as you can see here, they have less timetabled hours. So they've got a couple of lectures and a seminar, but it's only 3 hours of their day. So this is something that was similar to the sort of timetable that I had at university. So they might do kind of independent study in the morning, or go to a gym class, and then they've got volunteering in the evening as well. So both our student ambassadors here today study medicine, so they'll be able to say whether this is accurate or not, but this is a day in the life of a medical student. So here you can see that they've kind of got a full day of uni, lectures and lab practicals. So in their lunch break, they might nip into campus, like a cafe on campus because it's local. And then they've got kind of Zumba Society in the evening, which might be quite good because it's something active after a long day of uni. So then we've also got a day in the life of a science student. So as you can see here, they've got lectures in the morning, lab practicals, and then they might have kind of part-time work in the evening, if there's a school visit on campus or something, and they were doing a campus tour. And then we've got a day in the life of a manufacturing degree apprentice. So this is where you would work alongside your study. So this student has got their work placement during the working day, which is 9 till 5. And then they've got kind of independent study before kind of unwinding through football with mates in the evening. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to introduce our student ambassadors, who will be able to kind of go through a Q&A with you. So I'll just pass over to Sean to introduce himself.
Hi, my name's Sean. I'm a fourth year medical student. I've been involved with the rowing club since my first year, and I've been senior men's captain for 1 year, and this is the second year of me being president. I'm also the publicity officer for the Oncology Society, which is a medicine sub-society, so that's done through the MedSoc. And in my spare time, I like going to the gym, I'm quite into running, and just exploring Sheffield, really.
Fab, thank you, Sean. And then we also have Charlotte as well. Charlotte, do you want to introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, so I'm Charlotte. I'm in my final year of studying medicine, so I'm in my 5th and final year. So it's a long degree, but at the end. So I've been a member of Bake Socks, so that's been mentioned earlier. And Bake Socks is a society where you can just eat lots of cake and learn how to bake new things, which is really good. And I've had a variety of committee roles, from being president to being publicity officer. So that's when you're in charge of like Facebook and Instagram. I'm also part of Peer Teacher Society. So that is when the older years teach the younger years how to revise and learn more effectively in medicine, which is really useful. I do part-time work as an outreach ambassador and also with global campus work. So that is when you work with international students and you do just a lot more like sessions during the week. All of them have been online at the moment, but it's been really, really fun. I just really like nature, to be fair. You always find me in a park. I love gardening, and I've got many a house plant. You can probably see a few behind me, but yeah.
Brilliant, thank you. So what we're going to do now is have kind of a Q&A with our student ambassadors. So if you did have any questions about anything that we've covered so far in the session, or anything specific about student life that you'd like to ask, if you want to pop those in the chat now. We've got a couple of suggestions, so maybe you want to find out how you would search for societies, or how as a student you would balance these societies alongside your studies. Maybe you're interested with how student life and societies have adapted to the current circumstances and lockdown, and maybe what the best part of a student experience has been so far. So if you guys want to post in the chat anything that you'd like to ask, then if you could do that now, that'd be great. Thank you.
I'll just give it a few seconds, Paige.
Yeah.
See if any come through.
Maybe while we wait, whether Sean, did you want to just maybe speak about how you balance your studies alongside societies? Because you said you had quite a few that you were involved with.
Yeah, sure. So I think it depends what year you're in really and how much you can get involved with the society. I think for medicine it's a little bit different because you might have more contact hours, but then I'd say in first year you kind of have your afternoons free, and in second year you kind of have your mornings free. So there's definitely time to balance it. I think it's just about making plans for the day and thinking about what you can do in that day and how you want to fill your time. So obviously, I think for me, exercise is really important. So I always plan in some kind of exercise, or in first and second year that was rowing, but I haven't done that so much this year just because I've got into the more clinical year, so it's a bit more time consuming. I think it's just about thinking about what you want to get out of university and how best you can balance that really.
Brill, thank you. Charlotte, did you have anything for that same question that you wanted to add?
Yeah, I think it's just all about being organised and kind of working out what you enjoy in life, because university isn't everything and you need to make sure you've got the balance. So as long as you enjoy something, I always find that if you enjoy something, you always put time out to do it. So yeah, I always make sure that I do one thing other than university a day just to keep it balanced, because otherwise I get a bit too stressed. So yeah.
Brill, thank you. Harriet, have we received any questions in the chat at all?
Yeah, we've just got one come through. So what advice would you give to someone to prepare for student life? So Sean, do you want to start us off with this question?
Yeah, sorry. I guess it depends what halls you're kind of going to. If not catered, I definitely think being able to at least cook a few things, because I know when I went to university I definitely couldn't, and I kind of had to make it up as I go along. So kind of being prepared for having to cook for yourself and clean up after yourself is definitely like one of the biggest skills you probably pick up at university. So yeah, maybe working on that with your parents before you come. Another thing would be just kind of getting used to kind of putting yourself out there, and just be prepared to take any opportunity that comes your way whilst at university, because I think it's a great time to like meet new people, and yeah, just to prepare for that really.
That's great, thank you. Definitely good advice about the cooking, actually. That's such a good point. I mean, when I first went to university, like, I just used to eat cereal for dinner for the first few months, so definitely recommend learning how to cook. Charlotte, did you have anything you wanted to add for that question?
Yeah, I think one thing is, like, obviously you need to learn how to cook and stuff like that. And it's just kind of more like a learning experience. Like, don't expect it all to come at once. It just comes over time. And not to put pressure on yourself and stuff like that is really important. Also, I think it's really important just to be yourself when you go to university. Don't feel pressured to change yourself for anything. And don't be concerned if you don't enjoy one thing, because there's loads of opportunities at university, a lot more than when you're at school. So just, yeah, do everything that you can, and yeah, just put yourself out there is my main tips.
That's great, thank you. Definitely a really good point about, you know, don't change yourself to try and fit in. Just be yourself, and I'm sure you'll enjoy your university experience. I think we've not had any other questions in the chat page, so I thought a nice question to ask Sean and Charlotte might be, what's been the best part of your student experience so far? So Charlotte, do you want to just give us kind of highlights of your student experience?
Yeah, I think one of the main highlights is actually coming to university in the first place. Just because when you're at school, you have to do quite a lot of subjects that, you know, you might not be that excited about. But I think when I came to university, it was the first time that I was actually really excited about studying something, which really helped. And just getting involved in something new, and just, I think obviously it's quite scary going to a new place, somewhere you're used to at home or your normal school or sixth form. But I really enjoyed the change into a different environment. I found that really useful. And I think one of the best moments has been just meeting loads of different people. So not even just people on my course, just meeting people from loads of different courses and loads of different countries. And I think one of my top experiences was through the global scholarship. So that's when the university paid for me to do summer school in first year in Singapore for 8 weeks, and it was all paid for. So that was a really good opportunity, and yeah, to study abroad really.
Thank you, that was great. Singapore sounds amazing. Very jealous of that opportunity. Sean, can you just give us some of your highlights as well? That'd be great.
Yeah, so I think through rowing, I've competed at competitions all across the UK. I've been to loads of different parts of the UK. And also with that, we've had 2 training camps. So I've been to Banyoles in Spain, which is where one of the Olympics was. I can't remember the year now, but one of the Olympic events was held there. So I got to do some training there. And in my second year, we went to Tilburg in the Netherlands. So that was really good. Yeah, I think just meeting all the people I've met and making some of like the best friends that I've got is definitely like the highlight, to be honest.
Thank you, that's great. I think it's interesting you both mentioned sort of opportunities to go abroad, and that's something kind of Paige mentioned at the beginning. You know, in my experience, if I hadn't have gone to university, I definitely wouldn't have been able to go to the places I have, so that's a real positive. We have had another question come through. Is there anything you wish that you had known when starting university? So that's a really good question. Charlotte, can you start us off with that one? Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine. Honestly, I know I keep repeating myself, but I think one of the main things that I realised probably by the end of first year is like don't expect everything to be okay to begin with. Like, you know, you might not like who you're living with and stuff like that, but there's loads of opportunities to meet people, and that's completely fine. And yeah, like I said before, just don't change yourself, like just be true to yourself, and yeah, things happen for a reason, and yeah, just move with the flow. Yeah, and I would just say just look after yourself. I would say it's the most important things. And like we said before about the work-life balance, I think it's really important just to not put all of your interest just in your university degree. Like obviously it's really good to be passionate about university, but you do really need to look after your health more than your education sometimes. I think that's one of the things that I've realised.
That's great advice, thank you so much. Sean, are you okay to answer that question as well?
Yeah, I was just going to say kind of the same thing really. You don't have to be, especially in first year, you don't have to be working all the time. So you don't need to put so much stress. I think coming from A levels where you're under quite a lot of stress to get certain grades and you've got to get into whatever university, when you get there, don't be afraid to kind of enjoy it whilst you're there. Make the most of all the societies and extracurricular opportunities and clubs that you can, because it's probably the time in your life where you'll have the most opportunity to try anything. Like I started rowing at uni and I wasn't sporty at all before then, and I just thought like, oh, I'll just give it a go and see if I like it, and I really liked it, and now it's become like a huge part of my life. So just put yourself out there, but and also enjoy university life. Don't focus too much on working.
Great, thank you. I think your answers kind of just illustrate how kind of hardworking medicine students are, because I know in my experience in first year, I had the opposite experience really, like probably wasn't doing enough work. And I think one of the things I wish I'd have known was that you need to sort of, it's quite different to school and college because you need to motivate yourself to go to those classes. And often, well, in my experience, they didn't take attendance. So it's quite easy to make excuses and be like, oh, it's fine, you know, I'll catch up later, but I didn't. So I'd really recommend just kind of motivating yourself to go to your classes. So yeah, that was great, thank you. Just having a look at the other questions sort of on the slide. Let me have a look. I might put another question in there.
I think there's one on the chat about student accommodation.
Oh, has that just come through? Oh, thank you for pointing that out. Do you live in student accommodation and what was it like? That's a great question. Are you okay to just answer that then, Sean, please?
Yep, so I lived in first year in the Endcliffe Halls. I was in Crescent Flats. I didn't necessarily have the best time because I had a problem. Well, the rest of us in the flat had a problem with one of the other housemates, but the university team are really good at sorting things out. If you're having a problem with one of your flatmates and it's not reasonable, that they will help you sort it and they can help work with you at finding a better solution. I think after having moved out of flats, I moved in with 3 other people on my course, and I've lived in like private rented accommodation, which I think most people go on to do, but not everyone. And it's just been great. There are loads of like really good properties in Sheffield, loads of really good student houses. So yeah, I love where I live now.
Great, thank you. And Charlotte, would you mind just adding anything for that question if you have something?
Yep. So similarly to Sean, I had a similar experience of having a few issues at my first year flat when I lived in Endcliffe. But what I realised is that it just gave me more opportunities because I wasn't too close to my flatmates. It meant that I put more time into becoming better friends with my course mates. And I just spent more time at societies and outside of the flat. So it was all okay. And through that, I then moved in to private accommodation with friends that I made on my course for the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and then my final year now. So yeah, I've had a really good experience of accommodation in my latter years.
That's great, thank you. I think I'll just add as well, you know, when choosing accommodation, kind of think carefully about, you know, you can sort of often choose if you want to live like with a certain number of people and whether you want it to be catered or self-catered. So self-catered is when you do your cooking. And I chose self-catered and I really enjoyed that. And you tend to get larger socializing spaces in self-catered. So just things to think about when you are choosing student accommodation. So I don't think we're getting any more questions. So we can probably wrap up the Q&A session.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Harriet, for that. Yeah, so if I can just say a big thank you to all our presenters, so Paige and Harriet, who I know have worked hard putting this presentation together for everyone, and the student ambassadors that had some great answers about their experiences at university. It was really interesting. So thank you everyone for joining us for this session. If you are interested in attending more sessions during HETFest, if you visit our HET website, which is www.het.ac.uk and /festival, that should take you directly to where you can book via Eventbrite for any of the other sessions. So many thanks again, and we hope to see you in future sessions.